I kid you not, that was kind of the funniest thing I've ever seen during the pandemic. I think it was right when it started back in April. Uh, Guy came in and had a drink, and so, but when then we were enforcing the mask rule, and then they were saying, hey, or we were saying, hey, you need to put your mask on, man. So he kept his mask, so he did it, but he literally had the straw and was sucking the drink through his mask. Man, in retail, or I guess any customer service, you learn something that common sense isn't that common. And there's even some things that I've done, like, man, that was really stupid of me to do. But this pandemic has definitely exasperated it. Hey, what's good, everybody? This is the Generation 71. And again, just stay with me. I mean, I guess face camera and all that. Again, people have told me I have a face for radio. That's why most of it's covered up. But this video is actually going to show some gameplay stuff, and I just kind of wanted an intro, but kind of also show you why I'm doing it. Today is actually a really gloomy day. Like, overcast is everywhere. There's no sun, and one rhymes with gloomy. It's spooky. So I'm finally going to be talking about that Luigi's Mansion video today. And not so much of like talking about the conspiracies or the frayed knots of saying, hey, like, you've let the cliffhangers and such that have never been resolved. More talking about just, again, like, why Nintendo never capitalized it. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about here, let's look at the evidence real quick. So Luigi's obviously been the number 2 for a very, very long time, and to this day probably still is number 2, or at least like maybe 1.5, depending on how you feel about Luigi. But I would like to say that I think Luigi started getting the major spotlight when it came to Luigi's Mansion back on the GameCube. When you played it, definitely seemed like Luigi finally had his own theme. Traditionally, Mario is more the adventurous type, where now Luigi has kind of taken the more, I guess you could say, poltergeist type of it. But even when playing Luigi's Mansion, once you actually start thinking about it, there's a lot of things that don't necessarily add up, and that also transcribe over to Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube as well. Again, not going to dive too deep into it, but just a couple of things. So Luigi got a letter saying that they had won a mansion. A lot of people assume that the Boos actually sent out that letter. Well, by the time Luigi gets to the mansion, the Boos are actually trapped in the cellar. So if the Boos were actually the ones who have sent out the letter, who trapped them in the cellar? And granted, if this is a mansion, even if it was a trap mansion, if this was a mansion for Luigi, why is Egad in the mansion at the time, conveniently when Luigi shows up? There's a lot of things like that when it comes to where I believe, again, Nintendo wanted to implement some sort of grand arcing story, but just never did, or maybe got cold feet, who knows. Because then again, when you look at Sunshine, there's a lot of actually call outs to EGAD. Made the Poltergeist actually has a symbol on there, but also had the toothbrush, or I call it the toothbrush, but the paintbrush for Bowser Jr. In that game as well. So in the end, like, a lot of people are like, yeah, is EGAD good or bad? Well, we don't know, because again, there's this whole other story part of this game that we have just never saw and maybe never will see. And it's a shame, because I think this is something where Nintendo could maybe even win back some of the audience, because without being a bully or anything like that, a lot of people realize that Nintendo hasn't been having the best, I guess you could say, PR year. This is in 2021, but in 2020, man, like, they were coming out to be not the nicest people in the world. So maybe this is something that could be, I guess you could say, game changing for them. I would definitely like to see kind of a connected universe, because there's just so much going on. Now, you'll make an argument of saying that, hey, Miyamoto's never been story-based, it's all just having fun. But Nintendo in general has embraced stories. I mean, people wouldn't love Legend of Zelda as much if they didn't actually get entertained with the stories. Even if you had to piece it yourself together, there's still something there. Same thing with the Metroid series. You know, there's other games that Nintendo has embraced a story for. And I'm not saying just in general, like, oh, like, I need this in a game right now, but why not at least flirt with it a little bit? I guess that's always been my personal problem. So if you're one of those people that believes that Nintendo officially has a Nintendo book, and I'm not saying I believe in it, I'm not saying I disbelieve in it, I'm just saying if you're one of those people that believe that Nintendo officially has a Nintendo book of where there are certain standards and certain expectations you have from your Mario characters, fine. Take that book and I'll start to build a story around it. And I will even take it a little bit further, and I will even pitch something as much as, because they've already sort of done it, because I haven't even touched on it, is in the Mario and Luigi series, they have actually merged that universe with the Mario universe, in a sense, the Paper Mario universe specifically, sorry. And so if that's something where you can already do, why not go a step further and start merging these universes together to make a coinciding story? So my pitch is, finally explain the role of EGAD, whether it be positive or negative. I don't care if he's like the god and savior, if he's like the evildoer behind the curtain, one or the other. Start bringing back the connections between the different machines like Flood, the Brush, the Poltergust, and then technically the Luigi, and then the Robot Mario. I know Robot Mario I didn't actually hit on in this video, and again, I'm actually going to set up some theories. Videos from other people called it if EGAD is evil or not. Links in the description down below or in like little cards over here. Definitely check them out. But start bringing that together, and then have something happen where EGAD, again, whether being good or bad, sets up a trigger that merges all these universes together to make one coinciding story. That'd be really cool to see. It'll never happen. I'd be content with going to Paper Mario 1000 Year Door and actually having a game made from Luigi's adventure, because what a lot of people don't realize, Luigi had his own adventure in that game too. So, but I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you guys think I'm just off my rocker, that just Nintendo just never actually planned it, or do you think that this was something that was supposed to be a staple and then just never got to that point? Because sometimes it happens where things happen, new executives come into play, and they're like, no, we want to make money, we don't want to risk it, we don't want to do new ideas, no stories. So remember to hit subscribe with my little new fancy thing here, and I don't know, hit the bell. I don't care about the bells much, and then, like I said, leave a comment, let me know what you think. So, but this has been The Generation 71. We'll catch you guys later.